Good morning and welcome to today's Daily Word. We have arrived at another weekend and glad you could join me for our time together as we continue our journey through the Daily Word. So thanks for carving out some time this morning or whenever it is that you can watch this to be with me as we share this continued journey. And of course, we are on this journey through the season of Advent, and Sunday morning you're invited to join us. We're going to light the Advent candle of joy, and worship begins at 10:15. So join us for that as we worship together and share our time together, and just put another candle in the midst of the darkness of the world. So today is Daily Word number 639, and this text this morning from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, is a bit of the story of Zechariah and Elizabeth. And so we hear these words, and then we'll talk more about it. While Zechariah was in the sanctuary, an angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah. God has heard your prayers." So, for the longest time, Zechariah has prayed for a child. And for the longest time, his prayers were seemingly unheard and unanswered. And now we arrive at this point in the lives of Zechariah and Elizabeth, and they're old. They're beyond, way beyond, childbearing years. I'm sure they were disappointed. I'm sure there was enough grief in them to go around. But Zechariah, we know, was a priest. And in spite of his disappointment, in spite of even maybe him thinking that God had not heard his prayers, Zechariah every day performed his duties in the sanctuary. And in this particular verse, we hear this conversation. The angel appears to Zechariah while he's in the sanctuary doing his duties. And it's this interesting theme, right, that we hear in this Advent season, this theme of do not be afraid. Zechariah heard it, Elizabeth heard it, Mary heard it, Joseph heard it. Do not be afraid. God has heard your prayers, the angel said to Zechariah. I know that we all pray for many things in our lives, things that would make a difference, healing. We pray for other people. We pray for life situations. And wouldn't it be nice if our prayers were heard immediately, that we just knew of an immediate response? We know they're not. Oftentimes we wait a long time, like Zechariah did. But God heard his prayers. Now, the interesting thing that jumps out at me in this particular story, and I think it applies to us, is that Zechariah and Elizabeth had prayed this prayer, "We would like to have a child. God, grant us a child." And they prayed it again and again and again. So I'm sure that they had given up on that prayer. They were old. They were beyond childbearing years. You know, sometimes circumstances change, right? And we give up on our prayers. I'm sure Zechariah had given up on that particular prayer. But what's interesting is that while Zechariah had most likely given up on that prayer, he didn't lose or give up his faith in God. In all of the unanswered prayer and hope that seemingly was unfulfilled, Zechariah and Elizabeth remained steadfast in their obedience to God and in their faith. Advent is a season of waiting. It always has been a season of waiting, the season of Advent. We go through it day by day, weekly, once a week. We light a candle, and the time stretches out. And we light a candle asking God to increase our hope, to give us peace, to fill us with joy, and to respond to us with love. All of that happens day by day, week by week, until we arrive at Christmas Eve, when together we light candles and hold them up and light the Christ candle. But it's in that waiting, it's in that time of preparation that we're called to obedience. That we're called to know that God hears our prayers and responds to us. And that we're called to live our lives in faith. Zechariah did just that. And in the midst of all of that, he arrived and performed his duties in the sanctuary. And I think it's interesting, there he is in the sanctuary. And I spend a lot of time in our sanctuary. It's a quiet place, it's a holy place. It's a place where people don't often find me in the middle of the week or the middle of the day, because they don't go there to look. But I would imagine if you're there in our sanctuary, and an angel appears to you, and the first words are, "Don't be afraid." I think our initial reaction is to be afraid. But then the angel says, "Don't be afraid. God has heard your prayers, Zechariah." And in the season of Advent, in the season of waiting, in the season of trusting God to move through us and to shape us, we're called too not to be afraid, but we're also called, importantly, to be faithful, to be obedient, to trust in the God who hears our prayers, even when it seems as if God doesn't hear our prayers. We're supposed to persevere in faithfulness, despite the disappointments that we carry around with us, so that we can hear the voice of God saying our prayers are answered. We've not been forgotten, that our faith is not in vain. And such an important reminder for me and for you. We're not forgotten. Our faith is not in vain. We're called to continue to trust that God is in us and through us. And I hope that you and I, as we go through this Advent journey together, that we'll do just that. That we'll just trust and know that God hears us and meets us right where we are in our lives. A third candle we light this week, the candle of joy. It's another step in this journey. And might we hear the words that Zechariah heard, "Do not be afraid." Because that's the good news that he heard, that Elizabeth heard, that Joseph heard, and that Mary heard. Don't be afraid. God, Emmanuel, is with you. So that's our daily word for this day. Know of God's love that surrounds you. Know that you're not forgotten by our loving God. Know of my love for you. I look forward to seeing you Sunday morning at 10:15, and then again here at 10 a.m. on Monday morning. Have a great day and a great weekend.